Welcome everybody to the March 2023 member hangout. It's always great to have you all here, and I'm sure we'll get some good questions throughout the way. Please, either type your questions in the chat or ask me. I believe there's a way to just join the stage or ask to join the stage, and you can ask your questions over audio as well. This month, it's been pretty exciting because we've kicked off recording all the new courses throughout the year. In January, we teed up what is probably the most stacked, schedule for recording that we've ever have, with 40 days worth of workshops already booked as of January. So it's pretty exciting, the amount of people that teachers that have put in proposals. We have a bunch more proposals to sift through, so we'll probably be booking more soon. We've recorded 3 so far this year. So we recorded algorithms with Kyle Simpson, which was super fun. It was cool to see Kyle back. He hasn't been here for several years, so it was cool, and we had some great conversation. Before I get into what we recorded, though, I should probably talk about the courses that we really recently released in the last couple of weeks. We released APIs, authentication APIs. Is Kyle going to come back more frequently? I'm talking with him about it. Yeah, he's got some stuff in the works, so I can't say yes yet, but it sounds like he's pretty excited to come back. It's been far too long, and but it was really cool to see him teaching out algorithms, and in Kyle fashion, he was like using Sublime text. Everybody's used to VS Code. They're like, Sublime what? And he like writes JavaScript and like executes it, and it works like every time, like very few debugging issues. And these were like pretty complicated algorithms, so it was just like it was pretty fun to watch. So that was a 2-day workshop that'll turn into a pretty significant course. So we released authentication APIs, which was really fun. I put out that tweet of like, hey, has anybody heard of the credentials API? Because I'd never heard of it, and supposedly you can just like save the user's credentials right in the browser, and you can just like auto log them in, which was fascinating. I had no idea you could do that. And then like the Google authentication pop-up, that's like pretty cool. It's a nice way to have people easily log in. And then it just blew my mind that you can use Touch ID to log in on the web, and like with passkeys, you can like have your passkey like sync on iCloud or Google Cloud to your device and actually log in with biometrics. So, or with Touch ID or on the laptop, or Face ID on your phone. So that like blew me away. That was like a really cool course. And then web storage APIs. It was interesting to learn that local storage is synchronous. I didn't actually know that. So like if you had a lot of data that you were putting in local storage, that could actually like hang the main thread. I didn't know that. And so there's new and better ways to store data locally. So I'll definitely be, if I've got a lot of data, definitely be switching over to some of the other APIs. So so those 2 courses, IndexedDB was the one that he kind of recommended, and there is some like micro libraries that were good for that. So, and then we released Quick, which just sent the email out today. So that one was interesting because we did have Mishko Avery, who created Angular, and it was kind of a trip, because when I started Frontend Masters nearly a decade ago, Mishko came out and he taught Angular JS 0.6 beta. So he was revealing his new his framework that he had created, and he was an employee of Google at the time, and it was kind of like his pet project, Angular JS. And so it was like, and I remember him asking me, he was like, how did Backbone become so popular? needless to say, like AngularJS became like, a massive like pinnacle of the industry or pillar of the industry. So yeah, having Mishko out to, teach what he's working on now, which was Quick, was really, really fun. And so we have, course on Quick, and honestly, I think that is a really fascinating framework. I feel like a lot of the frameworks are generally like rinse and repeat with the component model and all that stuff, and Quick is like, okay, well, we've got that too, but it just changes the way that like JavaScript is actually executed. So instead of like having your entire bundle and like having to execute that whole thing in the whole state of the world and then, execute your app, you can like basically not execute anything until you like hover over a button, and at that point it's actually does something pretty clever in that it's got the code sitting in a service worker that's downloaded off the main thread, and it only pulls the code that you need for that button to be interactive. So the code path of that specific code that you need to execute. So it's pretty interesting. I think, it's a lot of like magic under the hood. So I always am a little bit leery of magic, but if the magic does what it says on the box, which, they've shown some really incredible real world, projects that have launched that have really great performance metrics. I think that, Quick, especially if you have a lot of code and you need code that is difficult to lazy load, this kind of just sort of does it out of the box. So I think it's pretty sweet. So it's cool that we have history with Mishko. That's probably how it was pretty seamless to get him out to teach, because it was just like, hey, we haven't talked in a long time, but you're doing Quick, you should come out and teach it. I think it's really interesting. Plus we did 2 days, so we actually have like not only the actual course, but we have like a bonus day where he kind of goes under the hood of the framework a little bit more in detail, and we put it as like a bonus video, or bonus course. So we actually have a lot more material on it than it shows on the website. But yeah, there was some problems with it to become like a full course. It was good under the hood stuff, but I think like generally people are looking for like a quick intro to Quick. So, but we do have more advanced content as well, kind of behind the scenes. So Mark said, I have high hopes for Quick. Tried it and loved it so far. Need to try it on a large project, but so far so good. Server functions are really cool. Yeah, I agree. It's got a lot of promise. And then we'll be launching the DevOps course next. That should be out next week, and that was kind of a cool intro to DevOps and like thinking about various problems that you can solve with like different tools, applying it across your organization or whatever, like projects. How would you pull in various tools to solve it from like a DevOps perspective? So it was pretty cool. That'll be out next week. And then we recorded, as I mentioned, algorithms with Kyle Simpson, and then full stack for front ends V3 with Gem. So came back. It was just really awesome to see Gem again, and we got an update to that course. Kind of it's like a pillar of a front end master's library, like the full stack for front ends, because it's we had a little bit of a debate in the class about like what does it mean to actually be a full stack developer, and I thought that was pretty interesting because it's like one thing, everybody kind of calls themselves full stack these days if they've used something like Next.js or whatever, but like it's a little tough to say like just because you've used Next you're full stack. Like really, like you should have some experience setting up a server with Nginx and an app like running Node and buying a domain and pointing your DNS at your server. That's setting up a database, like all of that is I think actually full stack, but I don't know. There's some debate there. It's nice that we have these tools available that kind of just do everything out of the box, but I definitely think that limits you as far as what you're able to, types of things that you're able to set up. So that course is awesome. Yeah, and then we did the giant live stream. We simulcasted to Twitch the Primogen's Rust workshop. So it was Rust for TypeScript developers, and it was a lot of fun. I was able to track like most of the day along with them until about, I think it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and they started getting a deep dive into traits and stuff, and it was just like, yeah, this is going to take a little bit longer for me to take, and I would have to actually take the course to really kind of have that sink in. But it was a lot of fun. And yeah, there was like 1,500 live viewers, or there's almost like 2,000 live viewers on Twitch at one point, and then like, yeah, our platform had like another 250, 300. So it was like, there's a lot of people watching that. It was a lot of fun. And then this week we recorded Java Fundamentals, which was, completely outside the scope of what I would ever imagine Frontend Masters to record, but it was actually it was a very smooth introduction to Java, and I think like a lot of just, it's a massive, language with lots and lots of jobs available. So I think it's a good skill set to add to your toolkit, kind of whoever you are. I think understanding the basics of Java, I think it fits, even though it's definitely not Frontend Masters, it's not front end, but yeah, people have learned Python and Go and now Rust and Node. We have tons of Node stuff. So I don't know, just continuing to expand the pie of what we cover and keep it up to date, and people appreciate, I think, our learning style or our course style. So yeah, that went really, really well. And then so would you be up for telling more about advanced front end and JavaScript questions? Yeah, we have been like developing this new kind of feature set of allowing, well, both in the platform on the live stream as well as in the course, to like pop up a question. And so Lydia has, I think, like at least 40 questions that she's made. Let me take a look at the scope of some of the questions. Probably outside of the scope of this Q&A, but they were pretty advanced. Some of the questions were pretty advanced. I think it's going to target probably that intermediate developer. But yeah, the format will be like pop up a question. There's different types of questions, whether it's multiple choice or like match the term to the definition, these kinds of things. And then you'll be able to see if you're right or not. And then at that point, she'll go into more detail about like the explanation of that question. So it's going to be a new format for us. We've never done that type of format. And like I said, it'll be both done live on the live stream with Q&A, or with the questions popping up. At least if we can get this done in time. I know we're kind of down to the wire. We're like a couple of weeks away, but I think we have a pretty solid plan to do it. For the actual course, it'll be integrated into the platform, so it'll be like our first course with kind of interstitial questions that you can answer and then get explanations in the video. So that's yeah, I would love to try it live, but the time difference is wild with Japan. Yeah, if you're in Japan, that's kind of the complete opposite. It's like straight through the world opposite of Minneapolis, right? So that's a bit of a difficult one. I know we've done some workshops in Europe. I don't know if that's better, but there's a potential for us to do a workshop series in Europe like later in the year. We did it during the pandemic. We did a remote series in It's 4 a.m. now over there. Wow. But yeah, we did a remote series in both. Well, we did one in Denver, one in San Francisco, one in London, and then we did one um in New York. So we did these kind of like where we set up a remote studio, and then we basically flew in our team and like recorded some of those courses. So yeah, I mean, some of them turned out really well, and others turned out where it was like it just they were definitely missing the in-person audience, like the energy from the in-person audience doing those workshops. So I think if we do it again, we're gonna try to get actual people in the room to do those. So yep. And then Jen Kramer on our Twitter posted she posted some designs from her new course. Probably set this up so I could actually share my screen, but I retweeted it from the Frontend Masters Twitter. So she's got like some different designs and stuff that she's gonna be doing, like a practical CSS layouts course. So she's working with our designer to like create some different layouts, and she's gonna just code them up in CSS. So it'll be like a really like cool project-based course. Zedux, Java's undergoing massive changes. Yeah, I saw that. Like she was showing some of the latest features of Java, and like basically had like arrow functions, kind of like JavaScript. I was like, I can't. I last time I looked at Java, that was not a thing. So, yeah, there was a lot of new features that Angie showed that I was surprised that Java had. So, yeah, so Jen posted those. Those were cool. I don't know if you've seen these kind of like small interviews that we've been dripping on Twitter, and we got ourselves a TikTok. If you want to follow Frontend Masters on TikTok, you can. But yeah, on our Instagram and TikTok, and we've been posting some on Twitter and YouTube Shorts of like these like little interviews with teachers. So I think at some point we'll probably field questions from Discord and see if we can get some of you all involved in like asking teachers questions. I think the plan is to, during the live workshop when we have them in the studio, we'll like eat lunch quick, and then we'll do like a series of like just Q&A, like whatever anybody wants to ask. It doesn't have to be related to the specific workshop they're giving, but we'll do like little interviews, and like, yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of a fun experiment that we've been trying with just getting some different type of content from the instructors. That's been fun to experiment, try some TikToking. I don't know what the kids say, but yeah, it's fun. Yeah, Mark just posted the tweet that Jen tweeted about the layouts. That was cool. The interviews with the teachers have been fun. We've been yeah, obviously doing these hangouts as well and putting them all up on our YouTube. So we've been pushing some of the promos and some of this other content that we're posting up on there. And then yeah, we've been building a lot of team features, or we've had like an influx of large enterprises signing up recently, especially this year. That's kind of where a lot of our growth is coming from this year. So we've been building tools for like enterprise managers to be able to manage large teams and that kind of thing. So that's been fun, but a challenge on the tech team. And then yeah, we've been doing that quiz feature where we can pop up interstitial questions both on the live stream, like we could potentially do polls, but yeah, like code questions during the live stream, and then the courses, and then we've got a couple of written guides on JavaScript and TypeScript that are pretty unique, that I don't think really I see anything out there like it. But it'll be like a exhaustive reference of everything in JavaScript and everything in TypeScript, like, some history, some great resources, and then obviously links to our courses, but like getting started with both JavaScript and TypeScript. So experimenting with some written guides. I think that's a big project that we kicked off. Because when we were thinking about the handbook, someone asked about the handbook last hangout, and that was a project that we kind of put on, like, let's try something different. But then the goal next, I think we're gonna do a revised version of the handbook, because I know a lot of people like the front end handbook, and I think the last edition we did was 2019. But then we did the learning roadmap, which is a free resource, and that's basically that. It's basically all the content from the handbook, but it's like on a path. So I don't know if you all have seen that at all, but it's Frontend Masters Learning. I think it's frontendmasters.com/guides. You can see them all. And then we've got the learning roadmap, which is pretty cool. You can kind of start with fundamentals and follow the path to find something that you're interested in learning. And it's all like links to written resources and all sorts of stuff. So definitely check that out if you haven't seen it. Any news about a Tailwind course? Aside from the Tailwind is both integrated in, I know it's in Complete Intro to React. Let's see. I believe it's Intermediate React. And I think it's also integrated in, does Scott Moss use it in the Next.js courses? He's got a little bit on it. Let's see, Tailwind. Yeah. Yep, so in the Building a Full Stack App with Next.js V2 course, he uses Tailwind there. And his design is really nice. But we could certainly have a dedicated course on it, and that's something that I'm looking into right now as far as finding the right instructor for it. Something that, we definitely need to get some more material on for sure. The guidebook is super to hand out to new learners. Yeah, I would agree with that. Are you talking about the learning roadmap or the front-end development guide, like the handbook? I'm guessing you're talking about the handbook, the 2019 handbook. Yeah, there's a workshop by Tailwind with Christian Nwamba. He is in London, so that was the problem, was he can't teach in the US. So unless we go out to London and do some workshops, which we're potentially doing in the fall, that course won't be happening until basically it's waiting on us to like schedule something in Europe. So we're just trying to see if the logistics for that makes sense. I know we've got quite a few instructors that are based in Europe now, with like Emma Bostian, Caddy Kramer, some of our instructors, and then we have like quite a few potential instructors that are in Europe. And I was just talking to a teacher who teaches system design. I think he currently works for Facebook, Meta, or whatever, and I'm talking to him. I believe he's London based as well. So there's definitely like a decent amount of instructors there in Europe, where it probably makes sense for us to take like a week or something like that, week and a half, and all fly out there to, fly our production team out there to do some Europe recording, and then we could do that one Tailwind course with, what about the Advanced Chrome Dev Tools course? That's exact same problem, right? So we had a shoot planned for London, and so that's why those workshops have been in TBA for quite a while, and we had to cancel it. So both Umar Hansa and Christian Nwamba are Europe based, and so unless we go out there to Europe, so we'll see if we can do that in the fall so we can get those recorded, because yeah, those have been in TBA status since we had to cancel the London shoot in um I think it was like around last fall, so they've been in TBA since then. So yeah, I'll catch up with the production team and see what we can do about scheduling a series in London. That would be a good idea. I think it's out of scope for FEM, but it would be great to see an Unreal 5 engine course. I agree. Unreal Engine 5 is pretty unbelievable. And what's funny about that is, like, okay, so we've done, Python, Java, Go, Rust. Like, we actually did Unity. We did a course with Nick on Unity. So Unreal Engine is definitely not out of the picture at this point. I think people know us. They know Frontend Masters is like high quality courses, and I don't think anybody really cares that it's like, I guess it's a front end to a video game, right? Or a 3D experience. So it's front end, right? So, yeah, both Unity. Well, we have the Unity course, but it would be interesting to do Unreal Engine 5. Like, I saw one of the videos that like popped out to me when I was looking to Unreal is like somebody made like a fan version of Zelda, like Breath of the Wild, like in Unreal Engine 5. I don't know. I'm sure those videos are taken down at this point because I know Nintendo's a bit aggressive with that, but like it was incredible that like one person put together this demo of what looked like an Unreal Engine 5, version of Zelda, and it was incredible. I mean, yeah, it's awesome. Obviously I'm a fan. Got all the Zelda. Like, that's pretty much all of my, like, that's a map of Hyrule back there. Are we going to do more Java classes? I think I mentioned this in the last hangout, but when we launch a new language, it's kind of like testing the waters of, does our audience resonate with that? Like, does our audience have an appetite for more content? Like, for instance, we released Go, and Go is doing pretty well. Like, I think we'll do more Go content in the future. Yeah, I mean, Python's doing okay. Yeah, I mean, Rust is doing okay. So, I mean, there's appetite to learn these things and go deeper. So, I'm interested in potentially exploring that, but I don't want to get so far away from our core that we're not keeping our, JavaScript content as sharp as it possibly can be, because both, JavaScript and CSS and web APIs, we always have been kind of on the forefront of both quality and, or really quality in those topics. So as long as we're able to do that, I don't see any problem with experimenting with going deeper in some of these other languages. Something on Blender would be cool. I agree. Again, I'm very interested in this stuff. I think that's how that person made the Unreal Engine 5 demo. He used Blender to make the models. Do you have any stats on how many students take a course? Or is there another way to get metrics? Yeah, in general, we track engagement. I think that's the biggest one for us. I'm not connected on VPN, so I can't see the stats, but the number one engagement or number one metric for us is engagement. So the deeper people get through the course means they probably resonate and need the topic, whereas something that's interesting, like for instance, I know a lot of people are gonna, to like dip their toes into something like Solid or Quick, and take a look, like, is this something I'm interested in? Maybe, maybe not. And so they'll take the first hour or two and get a sense of what it does, and then they'll have that resource later if they want to go in deeper. But a lot of people kind of like look at those courses, like especially when we're doing some experimental new technology, right? Like people kind of take a look at the first portion of the course just to kind of get a sense of it, and that's probably enough for them. And it's not like a bad thing, right? But the engagement on those courses isn't going to be as high as something like algorithms or intro to web dev or complete intro to React or JavaScript, the hard parts, or deep JavaScript foundations, or JavaScript first steps to fundamentals. Like I can go on, but these courses are like the bread and butter of the platform, because they are what really like opens up the doors and light bulbs. Like we're a learning platform, we're an independent learning platform, and we're like the I don't know, there's not a whole lot of independent learning platforms where we can just like focus on the fundamentals and dive into these topics that really, like, if you learn JavaScript the hard parts once, it's like it's with that knowledge is with you, like of closure and scope, like it it's or deep foundations, like that will last basically your entire career. And so we like to do courses like that where it's like really awesome fundamentals, and then you just get the knowledge and you have it, and like you can move on. So it's for us, it's all about kind of engagement. I mean, we're not going to be, we've never been the biggest platform in the industry, but we do well. We do well by that very specific market, which is, somebody with 2 years, at least, usually at 1 to 2 years experience, professional experience, and they want to get to that senior, they want to get to that lead role. It's like, there's a lot more beginners in the industry. So that's why, some of these other platforms are going to be huge, because there's so many beginners. But like, for us, we serve this niche super well, which is, the professional developers. And, like I said, we do well by it. There's, we're a team of, 12 full-time, and, we do well. So it's, but yeah, it's just like, we want to focus on deep course engagement on the fundamentals, and there's nobody else out there that's got that kind of mission. So, we resonate with the people that want to be the best. They want to be the best developer, and they've tried all these other platforms. They just don't go deep enough. And so, yeah, that's what we hear time and time again. It's like, I tried all of these things, and then I found Frontend Masters, and I really like actually satisfied the level of knowledge that I was looking for. So yeah, we're pretty proud of that, and yeah, it's great. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, though, this like deep fundamentals, and like how, if you look at our popular courses, you're talking about course engagement, and like 6 out of the top 10 of our courses are just pure fundamentals. They aren't like some crazy framework or whatever. They're just deep fundamentals of a language, or like JavaScript or whatever, CSS, Grid, and Flexbox. It's like, I think if you look at other platforms, that's really not the case. It's like, who else has top 10 courses on algorithms, intro to web dev, JavaScript the hard parts, CSS, Grid, and Flexbox? It's like, it's those deep fundamentals that kind of, I think, set us apart. And obviously we do have the framework stuff. Like obviously our React stuff is super popular. Like, we just launched React Performance, and that's doing really, really well, because, that's definitely an area people struggle with, which is like, how do I avoid, performance issues with like, the way components re-render and that kind of thing. We definitely have that kind of content too, but like, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Swati. Just saw Swati was saying that he's happy with the money he's paid us, and keep up the great work. So yeah, I appreciate that, buddy. I'm glad that you're getting the value out of it. What is my favorite cloud provider? Well, I'm definitely not a cloud developer or like a DevOps type person. I've launched servers and messed around with setting up specific configurations with Nginx and VPSs. So I do have some of that experience. I did it all on DigitalOcean, and that's what our full stack course teaches. But then, our Frontend Masters as a company, frontendmasters.com as a company, we use AWS heavily. So all of our stuff is AWS. So I know it's not the easiest cloud provider to work with, but it has everything. So but yeah, it definitely takes some really smart people to get the value out of AWS. That there's so many services. It's just crazy. Yeah, we get the you're saying we get the people that are actually doing the job daily. It's great learning from them. Yeah, I agree. That's the goal, right? Like, being an independent platform means that we want independent minded teachers, people who are like coding day after day, and they've chose the tool because it solves a real problem, and then they're going to come teach like, hey, these things worked for me, hopefully it'll work for you. And they're passionate about it. They're excited about the topic material because they're actually actively using the thing. So yeah, Steve, for instance, Steve Kinney on React Performance was a good example. It's like, he's solving performance issues across his team and across their code base. And so he's seeing these types of common issues, and so he's seeing those common issues in production in their code base. And so he's able to come and deliver a workshop of, all of the things that are really useful from, that experience or that level of experience. And so, he's coming and doing enterprise UI development next week, which will be a really difficult topic. You all actually asked for that on Discord. So that was like probably one of the most requested topics, was like some type of enterprise UI development where, setting up code quality and testing, CI/CD, all these kinds of things. So, unit testing, automated testing, all that kind of stuff. And so he'll be covering that. So it's pretty, yeah, so thanks for suggesting topics. Like, this is all very helpful that you all have requested topics on the Discord and whatnot. So that goes into our course planning. So yeah, so you said subscribe since 2019-ish, got one for a friend, then half the team got signed up. Everyone is happy. By far the best investment in my career in terms of learning progress. That's awesome to hear. I've personally learned a ton from the teachers. So it's, yeah, being a UI I've been a UI development developer for 20 years at this point, and it was like when Kyle Simpson came and taught deep JavaScript foundations, it was like the first time that JavaScript really clicked for me. It's like I built a lot of open source projects and built a lot of apps for people, but it was like, oh, like this is really how scope and closure works. Like that, it really, I don't know. It's, yeah, so that's part of it too. It's like these are the people that I would learn from if I could choose to learn. It's like, as a career developer. So yeah, I'm glad that comes through, and I'm glad that you all feel like I do, right, about these teachers and about this content. So yeah, that's awesome. Spotty said subscribe since 2014. Now that is awesome. Like, first of all, like, how many companies have been around that long, right? For you to even be a customer, like in this industry, like companies come and go like the wind, and they get purchased and, whatever. And the founders leave and this and that. And it's like, I'm still to this day excited about web development. I'm still to this day excited about, like all the teachers we get, and then I get to like socialize with them and talk about the industry and everything that's going on. Like, it still excites me. And this is a really unique profession. I think it's a unique company that we can stay independent and not, we've had lots and lots of proposals from like, developer advocates at this or that company saying like, can we create a course on whatever our product is? And it's like, no, I think we need to stay true to our, roots, which is like, we need to, it's fine if somebody uses that app, but they like, they're just a developer at a company and they chose that, software to use, like that open source project, they chose it, or it doesn't even need to be open source. It could be closed source. Like we do have material on, covering lots of things that are commercial, but, it has to be like a professional developer that chose it on their own. And then they're excited because it, like, again, it shares, they're sharing it because it solved a real world problem for them. And so, that's the kind of like, don't want to sell out, man. Stay independent. And, so that's awesome, Swati, that you've been subscribed since 2014. And, I think it's customers like you, that we're able to continue to do what we do. And this year is like incredible, the amount of awesome proposals and whatnot that the teachers have given. And we've got a really cool, really great lineup this year. So and Tamara's saying subscribed since 2015 or so. That's awesome. Again, like, you all have been here, I mean, I think we launched the video platform around like 2013, 2014-ish. So you're like, y'all are some of the OGs of Frontend Masters, and we've, continued to grow ever since. So, May 29th, 2014. Wow. April 28th, 2014. Wow. Y'all, that is super, super cool. Oh, Spotty, you actually visited a workshop? Nice. That's cool. You remember the workshop that you came to? Yeah. Totally loved all the live workshops. They've been super inspiring and influential. Yeah, they've been inspiring and influential to me as well. So it's awesome how you feel that. And it was before the last promotion, I sat and interviewed like, I think 30 different customers, and it was just really, really cool to see everybody's journeys of, it's people who have joined the platform when they were, it was like 2014, 2015. Some of these customers were like, 2018 or so. But they've, over time become senior lead engineers, and, some of them even have crossed over into management and that kind of thing. So that's why we're going to do some like dev leadership, product management courses, like, I think middle of the year. Because we definitely target that professional developer getting to that senior level, and it's cool to hear the success stories. Well, I think we're at about 50 minutes or so. That's kind of what I had planned. I got through most of what I wanted to, and thanks for all the kind words in chat. And I'll definitely schedule another one of these in about a month. So thanks y'all for joining, and I'll see you next time. Hope you all have a good week.